So we need to focus mostly on packages 2 and 3 because yesterday we decided to discuss a little bit the proposed list of contents of the 10th day, and this will help also clarifying what will be, I mean, what are our expectations from package 3, and in conjunction with the proposed list of contents and the way in which this is going to be implemented. So you have, I don't know if you
the content or the survey questionnaires. We have the survey questionnaires first, but if you want to project the, we can start.
Okay, we have also the questionnaire, and we have also the list
The
of
contents.
Okay, the content.
When do you want to
Let's
start?
start with the question.
It's visible to you, the online people?
Yes, yes, it is. Yes.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. Yes, bigger. Okay.
Okay, so we have grouped the questions into 3 groups of questions. The first are demographic info, personal info like gender, country, level of education. And a new question that was proposed yesterday, how confident they feel in teaching about climate change related topics to their target audiences. Then there is a second group of questions that tackle with the experience they have in teaching climate change. So what are the approaches that work best in engaging their students in environmental topics? The list is more or less the same that with the, it's the same. We have only separated augmented reality from virtual reality. And we have added the interdisciplinary approach here. What are the proposed resources that they can recommend to us if they want? What are the gaps? These will be optional questions that they have identified in teaching climate change and the misunderstandings that students hold. And the third group of questions has to do with the needs and the preferences they have for the development of the new material. So here, instead of ticking the boxes, we thought it's better to rank this question that has to do with the themes and topics that will be included in the material. What is climate change? What are the causes, the impacts? What can we do about it? And important features of an effective learning material on climate change, where they can select half of them up to 6. I think that's all. And at the end, we ask for their email if they want to be contacted by us. So we took out 3 and then we added 1 or 2 more. In total, there are 10 questions. Most of them are closed questions, tick, 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 tick. But there are 3 or 4 open questions. If that's okay with you, we can share also the file with the partners and consider it final. And then to start circulating immediately, we can share it on a Google Drive folder. So we will make a Google form out of it and give at least one of you admin rights. So 1 focal point per country knows at real time how many questionnaires we have filled, and we can follow up to ask for more week by week to see. And there's no need to translate, since the Google translation works automatically. And we have seen it at times when we ourselves translated them, and then it appears in the national language in two. You see, two times. Yes, the same text. I think there's no need to do it. There's an auto translate through the Google machine.
And the deadline?
We discussed yesterday, I saw the date 20 of January as our intended final deadline. I don't know if we should communicate it from the beginning, this deadline, or we should even have an earlier deadline in order, if we don't, because by 31st of January, we need to have the report. We need to have all this compiled. I don't know, what do you think?
What the report will be? You need to clarify what
the outcomes altogether, comparisons between countries, what are the tendencies? Yeah.
So this require
10 days.
days.
Yes, we need some time.
So perhaps we ask everybody submit by what is the weekend before, around the 10th.
Perhaps it's just not to give a deadline, because if people see that they have until the 10th of January or 20th January to apply, they will leave it for a later date.
Yeah, but if there is no time,
Yeah.
I think that line
explaining the invitation email to the service.
We put an earlier deadline.
Like 15?
But there is no, it's not,
Like 15, and then give 5-day extension if things, yeah. But the people who are here and the people who are online should know by Friday we will have it ready for you. We will share the link. It will be ready for you to give out to your colleagues. At least start with our colleagues, the closest to us, and take it from there.
we need to have also different stakeholders, as we said,
Yes,
different type of groups.
yes,
So let's go over to our colleagues, immediate colleagues and people. But then we have also to involve also some other stakeholders, apart from teachers. Okay, now let's have the some discussion about the proposed list of contents. And before getting into that, there is I have 2-3 questions, important, I believe, questions that we have to discuss even before. The first is the material. It's not, at the end of the day, it's not, as we say, only knowledge. We need, at the end of the day, to have an impact, taking into account the cycle. I mean, all what is the next step concerning the behavior and activity and attitudes of the students. We know that this theme we know that I cannot actually continue with okay. This theme is not an optimistic one. This the issue is an issue that will create is we cannot avoid alarm. We cannot avoid the alarmistic process. But although our analysis are gloomy and pessimistic to a large extent, we need to conduct policies with students and pupils in an optimistic way. It's a very difficult thing on how we approach this issue, because at the end of the day, we need to allow for hope if the right decisions are taken. This is something that touch upon adapt mitigation mostly. And the second part is a realism about adaptation. So this is not an easy issue in the sense of preparing a material where we can demonstrate the urgency, but at the same time we need to leave some room for hope. So this is an important component that I don't know yet how it will be reflected in the material. In the material, the main thing is act urgently. There is some room for mitigation, and this is a hope there, and also adaptation to a new climate, to a new environment. So this is yet another issue that when we have a traditional, a traditional approach, we can somehow critically, I mean, with critical thinking, but also with discussion, we can achieve this result of balance, which I don't know how this is going to be ensured through the new material, through the innovative material. I have to put that, and I have to see with you if we need in this proposed list to somehow horizontally ensure that this kind of message is emanated. So we have here the notions of environmental protection, protection of biodiversity, sustainable development, climate justice, inclusion, global citizenship. There are elements there. And also there are our role as members of the community and individuals, campaigning, movements, working with nature and nature-based solutions. There are some of these things there. And I don't know really how some of these not cognitive aspects are going to be reflected in the new material. So I just wanted to raise this issue for everybody to think a little bit, to brainstorm on that a little bit, because, and I hope that Maria follows us, because this is one of the questions we have about the issues of augmented reality and the rest. So apart from that, let me just read what we have there, and please intervene when we are discussing each one of the bullet points. These are just bullet points. The climate change through history and the natural cycle, carbon cycle, the greenhouse phenomenon, the anthropogenic origin through a series of sources, root causes, overpopulation, consumption, consumerism, wasteful lifestyles. And here is also a natural observing for climate change. It has been added by our colleagues from the Pedagogical Institute, and we clarified here there are two things there. The one is the how we decide about the models, how we make predictions, and these are observations by the international scientific community. So this is something about the monitoring and the models, a little bit difficult things for children, but easy to explain. On the other hand, the natural observing, as Simone explained, are experience, let's say, in the school, the environment in the school, measuring some temperatures or measuring some observing some parameters. Again, this is something that we would like to see how this is going to be linked with a new an innovative, let's say, approach. The other thing is explaining differences between climate change, climate and weather, major impacts to natural disasters, extreme events, melting of ice, glaciers that are the irreversible changes already happening, ocean currents. This is something that again is we are not certain on that, but we are. I mean, it is a disaster that cannot be repaired if it happens. We are told this. Water scarcity, floods, droughts, heat waves, these are definitely the phenomena even the young student can observe. Forest fires, soil erosion, biodiversity loss, intrusion of alien species, agricultural changes, food safety, socioeconomic and human problems, environmental refugees, transfrontier, transboundary. The notions of environmental protection, protection of biodiversity, sustainable development, climate justice, inclusion, and global citizenship. Efforts to address the problems, institutions in place, legislation, mitigation, examples, climate agreements and negotiations. Of course, this should be very brief for the children of this age. Adaptation examples, and also disaster risk reduction, resilience planning, ethics, who is responsible, coping with climate anxiety, and finally our role as members of the community and as individuals, campaigning movements, working with nature-based solutions. This is, although in 6 bullet points, 5 bullet points, it's an enormous content. It is a very enormous content. I have calculated, based on my experience for lectures, this in order to present this even in a brief way, I need about 2.5 to 3 hours. So this is the time I need to present, if I start making this as the minimum in normal is about 3 hours. So the in presenting these kind of things. So this is not bad, 3 hours if I have to present, but I don't know. I mean, how this can be transcribed into an augmented reality or an innovative approach material. Imagine the slides and the explanation given by some experienced scientists for at least 3 hours continuous. So, which is the material to be perhaps presented in many more hours in a classroom. So this is where we are. Either we need to reduce the content and decide on what is really, I mean, the most critical, the most necessary. This is one thing. The other thing is I wanted to have this part before giving the floor to our colleagues from CRI, including Maria, so that the method sometimes or the tools sometimes define our content, in the sense that what is feasible to include within the. Of course, all what we discussed are important, and this is how we solve this equation, because we want to have both. We need to have a proper coverage of the issue, and at the same time, something that is feasible within the means we have. That's all from me. And I said that apart from the content, it's also the way in which we present it, so that we don't give a gloomy content to the pupil, because this is something also of page of concept. Who wants to comment from you first, and then we move to the part that we have planned for package 3. If you don't think that you have something at this point, we can move directly to our colleagues from CRI. Yes.
Italy is the first country that adopted the climate change curriculum. That is matter in their school. It's 33 hours per grade. I don't know if we can have.
Yeah.
Alex, are you?
Alexandra, could you comment on that, or is Romina also somewhere, or did you hear the question? Alexandra? Okay. She will be there.
I have the same information that in Italy, include in the scuola media, level, a lot of hours things, and I'm not sure about France, they have something similar.
So do you have something in France? Are you aware of something in the program?
No, in French, we have no specific hours, but in the new programmation for students, education to sustainable development and focus on climate change is integrated in every part, in mathematics, in French, in history, etc. So every topics could took in it, but there is no specific activities or specific hours.
But the same, if I'm not wrong, the same is also here in this. The issue now is, thank you for this question, because what we are preparing actually is something that can eventually be used in different ways. However, if we are talking about augmented reality or things where we need to have some infrastructure also in the class to deliver this, then we are talking about dedicated time and course, and not what is diffused in, let's say, different lessons where no infrastructure can be available. So it is good for us to clarify that. Okay, so yes. That's the problem.
Maybe in the spirit of brainstorming, that maybe even in Italy that there is a dedicated course for 33 hours, maybe what the students are missing at this age is to have a narrative about climate change. Because you might hear scientific facts about the global warming, but with this content that it is prepared, or at least I see it as a biologist with 3 chapters, that you start that it is a natural phenomenon and how it occurs and the cycles and all the physics, then why it is accelerated by humans and all the disasters, and then a way forward. Maybe this, as simple as I can describe it, it's easier to be translated in an augmented environment, that there is a narrative behind it and not just
The way also as it is here is exactly this. It is, thank you for raising it, but the philosophy behind is actually getting through the natural cycles. These natural cycles to be understood, and how the climate change, the anthropogenic climate change, has affected these cycles, and therefore how again anthropic interventions may change, may regulate or even reverse tendencies. So this is, but the issue is how at the moment, how we can, we need to understand in depth the possibilities we have within the innovative material, which is exactly what we are going to discuss right now under the first item of today, which is package 3, development and also of a teacher's guide toolbox. But we need at the same time to understand a little bit better, it was discussed yesterday, what we can expect from the innovative approach. The whole project will be judged from this innovative material. This is what we have promised, and we need to understand very well what we can expect from our colleagues from CLIS. So I don't know if you are going to present that or Maria. So Maria, thank you for being with us. And we would like to see perhaps also some products and also already existing, let's say, the products of your team, so we can understand better what we can expect from the new material, from the innovative material.
Professor Skoulos, we have included examples and good practices of such materials and an explanation of our approach, our pedagogical approach to using such AR and gamification techniques. I'm sorry, I cannot hear you.
No. This was just some instructions or
Okay.
guidance.
Okay.
Are you going to share your screen or we are going to use the presentation here?
No, I can share my screen, but first, perhaps my colleague, Professor Mouzakis, would like to give you an example of educational material under the principles of distance education that we have developed at the e-learning lab to get a more clear view of, and then I will move on to the AR part and the gamification part.
It's online. So you have to share the screen. It is not in the PowerPoint. It is on the web. Ah.
About the age. I mean, the portable is.
Yeah.
Or.
They're all of individuals.
Not the fourth one, we have to serve it.
Well, this is necessary. What we have to say. Actually, this is the hope. I'm sorry to say, but this is to show that there is something beyond each one of us, that we have an international community. We have to build on international governance from a very small stage, very young. And this is what we want to explain. We don't get into details, but we have to say that there is the UN, there are the regional bodies.
Okay, you're trying to create.
And also, I mean, this negotiation, that is also information. Information is however.
I agree with that, I agree with
Yeah.
that.
So, when we are talking about the negotiations, but also, we have to rely not only to us, but to the collective willingness to do something. We have to strengthen the feeling that we need to have international governance. We need to go beyond the local and national.
For example, small case study by regions, by country.
Yeah.
Okay,
Uh,
good morning. I try to continue from where we stopped yesterday. Okay. Oh. I try to conclude by saying that we will use an approach that create environment for e-learning. So the e-learning has some differences from the face-to-face learning, the traditional learning. In order to create an effective learning environment, we will focus on content because our approach is a text-based approach. We work on basis of the Open University, British Open University methodology. And we have different steps of visualizations and interactivity as a general term. So the content, as we said yesterday, must be designed in a different way than in a traditional way. So it must be enriched with different type of activities, and on the text, on the content, we add interactivity aspects. So we in our lab we work in 5 levels of interactivity. The first level is the presentation with some interactive tools. Here's an example. We incorporate all the different theoretical aspects we discussed about yesterday. So now I will show you the example. This is an interactive presentation. Here we have the different levels of the material. The learning objects and the outcomes, and specific guides for the learning process, because the concept of e-learning put in the center of the learning process the student, not the teacher. So the student must be act independently, as independent person. Λοιπόν, we have added some online tests, self-assessment questions. Okay. And this is a presentation with a little text and added with graphics. This presentation is based on the language lesson. So we try to enhance the textbooks, the text. And here is
Σε αυτόν τον οδηγό
direct
θα
video.
δούμε πώς μπορούμε να ενθαρρύνουμε την ενεργό συμμετοχή των μαθητών μας σε ένα περιβάλλον τηλεδιάσκεψης, αξιοποιώντας τα εργαλεία του Screen Share και Annotate στο WebEx. Για τον σκοπό αυτό θα αξιοποιήσουμε το πρώτο κεφάλαιο της δεύτερης ενότητας του μαθήματος της γλώσσας τρίτης δημοτικού με τίτλο «Αγαπητό μου ημερολόγιο». Στόχος του κεφαλαίου είναι μεταξύ των άλλων η εξοικείωση των και θα ζητήσουμε από τον μας τι να σημειώσουν όλοι. Επιλέγω λοιπόν την πρώτη επιλογή, δηλαδή να μπορούν να σημειώσουν όλοι ταυτόχρονα και ζητώ από τους μαθητές μου να υπογραμμίσουν τα ρήματα της δεύτερης παραγράφου. Αν οπότε μπορούμε να προχωρήσουμε στην άσκησή μας. Όλοι ταυτόχρονα και ζητώ από τους μαθητές μου να υπογραμμίσουν τα ρήματα της δεύτερης παραγράφου.
This is a simple type of interactive presentation with a video format enriched with some test questions. Okay.
Your interaction is one way.
Yes, but we have on-time feedback from the computer. Yes. All right. And the synopsis, okay, the feedback. So the second level of interaction is interactive tutorials. Let's work on this.
Αφού δημιουργήσω την άσκηση, πατάω στο κουμπί νέα ερώτηση για να προσθέσω δραστηριότητα. Στο πεδίο ερώτηση θα πληκτρολογήσω την εκφώνηση της άσκησης. Επιλέγω ως τύπο απάντησης το τέριασμα και πατάω εντάξει. Στην καινούργια σελίδα που ανοίγει έχω τις εξής επιλογές. Σε αυτήν εδώ την περιοχή θα καταχωρήσω τις πληροφορίες που θα έχει η στήλη Α και η στήλη Β.
Is under the same concept, it follows the same concept with feedback. And let's see another example.
Get back from there. Well, I mean, in the second, you have correction, you have what?
Yes, we have a check,
Yeah.
answer, check, and feedback with a correct response.
Yes.
And Here we have another type of activities, drag and drop. That's it.
Ανανάς.
Ναι.
Ένα.
And we follow with different
Χέρι.
templates. This is the feedback. The same. And the student can retry after the feedback. This is the second level of interactivity. We have the third level is a interactive animation. With the budget of this project, we will work on the first two levels, and Maria will present after the other opportunities from the other levels. This is a digital storytelling. With ready avatar.
Τελικά θα έρθεις αύριο στο σπίτι μου.
Μήπως να αποφεύγαμε τις επισκέψεις σε κλειστούς χώρους λόγω κορονοϊού?
Άσε μας ρε Μαρία. Τι εκνευριστικό κι αυτό. Ούτε αυτό δεν μπορούμε να κάνουμε.
Όχι πολύ κοντά.
Την περίοδο που τους πιάσαμε στον ύπνο και τους ευνηδιάσαμε, παρατηρούμε ότι τώρα οι άνθρωποι έχουν αρχίσει να αντιστέκονται. Παίρνουν μέτρα τα οποία οι περισσότεροι ακολουθούν και αυτό έχει δυσκολέψει πολύ την εξαπλωσή μας. Αν δεν έχουν χαρτομάντιλο, καλύπτουν το στόμα τους με το εσωτερικό του αγκώνα. Όπως καταλαβαίνεις, όλα αυτά κάνουν πολύ δύσκολη τη μετάδοσή μας από τον έναν άνθρωπο στον άλλο.
Όλο και κάποιον κολλάμε όμως, έτσι δεν είναι? Και άμα τους κολλήσουμε...
The emphasis is on visualization. The third level, we have handmade animated characters. And finally, in the fifth level, we have a digital game. that Maria will. Maria, κάποια συμβατότητα δεν υπάρχει με το laptop για το Unity. Ναι.
Yes. Good. Oh, okay.
It will be okay. So, Maria will show us more. This was the 5 levels of interactivity in on an educational material. And εδώ πρέπει να είναι.
Thank you, Professor Mouzakis. Shall I start sharing my screen?
Maria, just a moment, please.
Okay.
1 minute. Τι προσθέσεις που είχαμε βάλει την χθεσινή την... Άννα, εδώ. Ωραία. Okay. This is shape. So, the basis is the text. We need the text in order to build activities, different type and different level of activities on the text. So the heart of the procedure is the text. Okay. Όχι, δεν πειράζει, Μαρία. Όχι. Different multimedia aspects and activities will follow the main text that we have your expertise. So your expertise is important for this construction. So, Maria.
Okay, thank you. I'll start sharing my screen now.
Just a moment. Okay.
Okay. Please let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, you can.
All right. So, for today's for this kickoff meeting and for today's presentation regarding the activities that the e-learning lab is leading in work package 3, I would like to give you a few words about the contents of this presentation. First, I will be talking to you about activity 3.3, the development of training material on gamification and augmented reality in environmental and outdoor education, or for short, GAREOE, and explaining the terms gamification, augmented reality, and outdoor environmental education with examples. And then I will move on to the next activity, 3.4, which is the online training courses for teachers and educators based on the principles of adult education and, of course, distance education, the learning course, as we call it. And then we will be moving on to the Innova developments and a short conclusion on our behalf. Okay. So first of all, the activity 3.3, the development of training material about gamification. It is supposed to start in October 2024 and to be finished in January 2025. Okay. When we say interactive educational material in our sense and in the sense in our pedagogical approach, we split it into two thematic areas, gamification and augmented reality. And I'm going to show you the notions behind these and examples of these. First of all, gamification. Why do we use gamification in our pedagogical approach? Because if we include game-like elements in our in the learning process, research has shown that students are more engaged and they are more able to memorize and remember things from what they've learned because they have been engaged with their full senses, all their senses. And some gamification elements that our applications include are reward systems like point systems, setting a goal, creating a scenario as if it is a treasure hunt, that we are collecting points in order to reach a goal. And then the second pillar is augmented reality. And why we use augmented reality? Because we need to bring digital elements and real world elements together to increase the student engagement, to reduce their cognitive load, and to improve their performance. Okay, I would like to show you an example. I'm not sure if you can see it. I will try to click it from here, but if not, I have already, it's ready on YouTube, so we can see it over there. This is a short presentation of an AR app connected to environmental education. I would like you to see the video first, and then we can comment on it. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay. It's in Greek, so I will translate in English. Let's plant some palm trees. You need to look with your mobile phone and find the green arrows to see where you need to plant the trees. Right. I hope you were able to see the whole video. This is an AR application that encourages our students to take action and do something for the environment. In our case, we were on the beach in Rethymno, and there was a place without trees, without palm trees. So we encouraged them to visualize how it would look like if they had the chance to actually plant those trees there, to make the place more beautiful and do something better for the environment as well. Are there any questions? All right, then I shall move on.
Yeah.
So we are using gamification tools and AR in order to provide our students with outdoor education, because outdoor education allows them to explore environmental issues, engage in problem solving, take action to improve the environment. This makes them autonomous learners. And by becoming autonomous in their learning and taking action for themselves, they have a deeper understanding of all the environmental issues and notions. And of course, becoming responsible citizens of how they need to treat the environment they live in. Okay. In order to provide outdoor environmental education, we are based on experiential learning and inquiry-based learning, and we use some tools to help us bring students closer to the environment. The technology helps us in that way. For example, interactive tours, location-based games, and mobile-assisted learning. Okay. This is an example of an outdoor education game-based learning that takes place in Plaka, where your facilities are. And I chose this one because it's closer to you. And perhaps if there is time at the end of the day, my colleague, Nektarios Pananakakis, could give you a short tour using this application. This is not a game about the environment. It's about the historical monuments of Plaka. And it's about our hero, Odysseus, who needs to go back to Ithaca, but he has some adventures on the way. And while he's trying to reach his hometown and his homeland, he needs to solve puzzles and riddles, learn about the history of Athens, and collect some points and some clues that he needs that will help him find the way back to Ithaca. Just a few examples of how this works and what kind of activities are included in that. It's a game-based application, as I told you. The users, the students and the teachers need to follow arrows to move from one place to the other to collect the clues and solve the riddles. They need to have some activities. For example, when they need to count the 7 columns of a temple and take a selfie to prove that they have actually been in that place and they have actually counted the columns of that temple. And of course, we include, in our outdoor education, we include land art activities that our scientific associate, Alexia Spanoudaki, has finished her PhD in how to incorporate and bring children closer to nature by using land art and natural elements that we find along the way while we are doing a location-based game. Okay, sorry. Any questions so far? No? Okay. Nektarios has got the QR codes and the application ready. So if anyone would like to follow a short tour after the end of this day, we would be happy to show you in real time. And now about the other activity, the interactive online training course for teachers and educators. It is based on the principles of adult education and distance education. We will be using the interactive educational material about climate change education. 3 topics will be included in that activity: the causes of climate change, the impact to our daily lives, and mitigation or response measures to climate change. Also, we will be including Gareoe training material. Actually, this is to explain to teachers how they can use such applications to encourage their students to build such game-based learning activities. Okay, and a very short template of how the training sessions will be scheduled. First of all, there will be an introduction to creativity and group dynamics, another session about the causes of climate change, the third one, the impact of climate change, and of course, mitigation and response measures. Also, to be accompanied by gamification and augmented reality, so that the students, having gained knowledge about the causes, the impact, and the mitigation, and having known how to utilize applications with AR and gamification elements, they will be able to build their own scenarios and activities, demonstrating to their peers environmental issues. Okay. How do we see innovation through gamification? We use gamification, we use technology that has gamification elements in order to bring the educators and the pupils closer to the real world. And we also use AR applications to be able to combine digital and real elements in natural surroundings. We do this in a way to try to enhance their creativity and their critical thinking skills and making them autonomous learners and content creators. What is the main goal of our approach? We would like our pupils to become content creators using such applications that I demonstrated before. We need for them to cultivate their critical thinking skills, making decisions, solve problems, and while doing that, encourage their creativity. And how are we going to do this? Our whole training course, the online training course offered to teachers, will be to train them in the same way as they would train their pupils to become designers and developers of educational activities. So the role of the teacher is different. At the center of the process, there is the student, and the teacher is the one who encourages, who facilitates, and supports the whole process. So we are asking our students to take initiative instead of having them passively listening or viewing the materials and the games that we have created for them. So there are 4 steps into this process. First, the students need to explore, investigate, research the environment, their topic, discover what they need, collaborate, and finally create their own activities about environmental issues. Okay. And a short conclusion, our pedagogical approach is in line with UNESCO's roadmap, calling for interactive, project-based, learner-centered, inclusive pedagogy to transform learning environments through WSA to ESD to enable learners to live what they learn and learn what they live. Thank you very much.
Maria, I would like to ask actually our colleagues here to put any questions to you.
Of course.
Perhaps we have a somewhat more concrete idea of what the material will be. I don't know who. Okay. Vicky, you will ask first.
Hello, Maria.
Hello, hello.
Your presentation. Very nice. I just need a clarification. What you have just shared with us, examples of mobile education, the gamification, or the augmented reality apps. But we do know that youth and students love them very much. Instead of the conventional WebEx and e-learning things they have done during COVID.
I'm sorry, I cannot hear you very well. I can hear you twice and your voice is mixed up with other sounds.
So I will repeat. I just need a clarification. What you just shared with us about mobile education, AR apps, and gamification, that we know that the youth and pupils really love them, are going to be incorporated in the new material, because I am seeing an inconsistency to what your colleague, Professor Mouzakis, presented to us.
Oh, I understand. Okay, okay. I think I understand the question. Just
what
give
is going to be, in what form is going to be this new, innovative material?
All right, I understand.
Even things we just saw this morning, personally, I don't see any innovation. Teachers are fed up with such things through WebEx, open free e-learning, MOOCs, and they are quite familiar with these things, and they even create their own. We even create our own, and we are not experts in the field, of course. But what you have just presented is the innovative form.
All right.
What is going to be? This is question mark. Thank you.
I think I understand your question. First of all, we will be creating educational material based on the traditional educational material that you will be researching and developing during the Erasmus project. And this would revolve around the causes of climate change, the impact, and the mitigation and response measures. Am I right? We will receive this traditional material and form it. I'm sorry?
We have just presented before the content. What is the content? Can you hear me, Maria? Can you hear?
Yes.
We have presented, I don't know if you have the chance.
I have seen it. I have seen the contents, the list of contents, yes. I have used the terminology from the application form. There were 3 thematic areas: causes, impact, and mitigation. I have used them from the application form. I understand that the causes are not just one, there might be more. But these were the thematic areas referred to mentioned in the application.
Answer them like that, but they are more complex.
How format of the final product is
Yeah, you've heard the question. The question is the format of the final product.
Yes.
What, I mean, the content is what we have presented, and indeed it can be clustered, let's say, in these 3. Yes. But within these 3, there is a variety of different, let's say, mitigation responses. From policies to technical fixes. The same is with causes. There are root causes, there are different causes, natural, there are man-made, you know, so, and the impact is also quite a variety, a very, very wide spectrum of impacts from, you know, melting ice or health impact. So this is a content which is quite demanding, of course. So we would like to understand a little bit what the format of the final product will be.
Okay, the format will be for those, what I'm showing you right now are the sessions in the online training course. Okay, the format of the educational material to be uploaded in your LMS, on your LMS, will be the one that Professor Mouzakis showed you this morning, the first and second levels of educational material. Interactive presentations, enriched with multimedia and hyperlinks, and self-assessment activities to make sure that the learners, in our case, the educators, have taken responsibility on their learning to follow the course autonomously in an asynchronous way.
I don't know if you have some comments. I mean,
do you want to no, that's not the thing. Okay, so it's supposed to take place in the class. So in the class, we are 3 teachers now from Cyprus. Until level 3, we do it ourselves, because now with using AI tools, we can even create videos with avatars given the text. And we do also outdoor activities using action-bound and alternative applications. So what we need from you is AR and VR and metaverse education.
Please correct me if I have misunderstood something. The training course, the e-learning course, the online training course, is targeted to teachers, right? Not the students. I mean, the teachers will be trained, and then they will go into the classroom to train their students and involve them in environmental activities. So we are developing educational material for the teachers.
Yes, but
for adults, right?
We need to connect A3, the training of the educators, with the work package 2. I mean, we are going to train educators to something that they will not use. What's the point? I mean, the innovative educational material, work package 2, has to be linked with the training, work package 3. Then it's trained to something that they are going to use. If they are not going to use virtual reality or mobile education, what's the point?
They will, of course, they will use it. They will use gamification and augmented reality applications in their daily practice at schools. To develop examples as if I showed you before.
Yes, but is it going to be linked to the educational material, the online educational material? Because the direct application should be this.
Perhaps to reduce the confusion, what we want is what we expect. Is it on? What, Maria, what we expect is to see the transcript of the material, of the traditional material, into an innovative one. This innovative one has to go to something that is not already available in the different schools. Perhaps we can include also one or two of other examples, but the emphasis should be on something that is not produced already in the different schools. And this is the main thing. And then we come to help the educators to use this material. So the center is the material, and based on the material, we go back and we train the trainers. It's not the trainers that will produce the innovative material. You have to do the innovative material. And we present this and we say, this is the innovative material, and this is the way that you apply it, use it. So the interventions are something that are in the hands of the educators, but the material is already there. This is the issue.
Okay, now it's more clear to me. Thank you, Professor. According to our methodology, we encourage the educators and the students to develop it by themselves. We give them guidelines and support and tools to develop it for themselves and not have ready-made materials. The end point is to make them the creators and not give them something ready to memorize.
It's not to memorize. Maria, it's not to memorize. Is to augment, to use the augmented, to augment the message and make this more vivid and more useful for them. For example, when I'm talking about let's say floods, or if I make, if I discuss drought, they have to feel this, to show and understand and get into this. So they share the feeling of that. I'm not going, I mean, even to go to an area where they use globes to feel the temperature, to feel that something is unbearable or something is cold. This is what we expect. And of course, many schools do not have the means, but it doesn't matter. We want at this moment to go to such a level of product that actually justifies our proposal.
Right. We will consult, we will have a consultation with the scientifically responsible of the project of the Learning Lab, and we will come back with you with a proposal and a discussion to further this issue.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. This is something that we all share here. This is something that will justify the project, and we are going to be actually judged based on this product, the quality of this product, and the innovation, the proper, let's say, understanding of what is innovative. So it is very important to also for us to write the content or rewrite the content according to what you can actually offer. We don't want to stress you. we want to see how best, because the content we have presented is short, still very demanding. And we may leave out some things in order to make sure that this can be subscribed, transcribed into augmented reality and all what we expect. So it is very important. This is why we are here today, because we have to write the traditional material starting from today in order to have it by May. And having it by May means that we have to have the text circulated to all the colleagues, ask for their inputs, comments, coming back, corrected or adapted, amended, and resending and translating into English, at least. So this is a mission close to impossible if we don't have very clear from the beginning the task. So it's very important to know what can be done at your end in order for us to adjust, if necessary, the content of the 10 of the traditional educational material.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes.
Okay. There are 4 levels of interactivity, right? Maria?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And the traditional material will be translated into one of the 4 levels of interactivity, including AR and VR. Is this correct?
AR and gamification.
AR, okay.
Yes.
So I suppose that you need some a guidance of to tell you what you are going to create. So I suggest that you create 4 templates, 4 or 5 templates, each one for each interactivity level, and share it into the partnership. So when all partners spot a traditional material, they should put into the template that they believe fits into the situation and pass it to you. So when you get the material, you will know which interactivity it is suggested you to create. I don't know if you agree with this idea.
We are willing to discuss it, but I would like some clarifications on the template you mentioned. You mean an example of the templates shown this morning?
Oh, no, I mean that I find into the web a text about the climate change.
Okay.
You are supposed to translate it to in interactive text, correct? So you have 4 or 5 options, interactive levels. Which one will you choose to work with?
Okay.
So if we've got templates, and if we pass this, if we pass this content into a template that we believe fits into interactive context, we put in the respective template and pass it to you, and then you will know what interactivity level we use for each traditional content. In any case, in other way, you'll not. I believe it would be very difficult for you to decide, to choose, to tell what kind of interactivity are going to create.
You mean without your guidance first, without your input?
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
If I don't know if I can help, but I want to stress what the Cypriot. Can you hear me, Maria?
Yeah, yes, I can hear you. I cannot see you, but I can hear you.
Yes, what the Cypriot colleagues said, and I know that for the Greek colleagues, it stands as well. Level size for them.
I'm
They
sorry,
can do it on
I'm
their
sorry, I
own.
can't hear you anymore.
Maybe
You mentioned that your Greek colleagues agree on something.
I said from the levels that you described, level 1, 2, and 3, it's something that the Cypriot colleagues, and I know that the majority of the Greek colleagues feel very comfortable and they do it on their own. So there's no innovation. So we have to move to at least level 4 for me, for the material to be characterized innovative. So this should be our baseline. No, 1, 2, 3 can be an exception, or maybe a guide for our contents, something so simple. But it should be only exceptionally used. I think we should aim for level 4 at least, and 5 if possible.
All right. Yes, yes. Now I have heard you clearly. All right. We will have a discussion with our professor and we'll come back with you with a proposal.
Very well. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Right.
Very well, very well. I don't exclude at all that in the whole package, we can use also 1, 2, and 3 for specific subjects. We need to use everything, but what is going to characterize the material on which the quality and even the payment will be done at the end of the day by the authority, the IKI, the Greek authority, and the EU authority, is the innovative part, which is actually what you presented under steps 4 and 5. So that is important, very important from the beginning to be clear. And I come back again to what I said before. We may reduce, if necessary, the content accordingly, so that we see what are the most appropriate, let's say, themes to be presented under 4 and 5. The applications for the 5, and this will guide us in finalizing the content. This is something that is important for all of us to understand.
We will come back with you with a proposal as soon as possible.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Since we have some colleagues from Italy, there was a question earlier about the implementation. We know that there is already introduction of some classes on adaptation in Italy. Do you have any experience on that that you can share?
Sorry, I didn't hear you. Can you repeat, please?
Yes, I repeat that we have the information that in Italy you have already some classes introduced in the curriculum on climate change and particularly on adaptation to climate change. I don't know if this is accurate and to what extent it has been already discussed. If you have something to add to that.
Sorry, do you mean that we have class, because I couldn't hear you very well. Do you mean if we have classes that have brought on projects about climate change, or they have used some, for example, the augmented reality or some specific tools about for this project?
Okay, that Italy is the first country to set climate change compulsory in schools with 33 periods, one per week. Is it happening now?
Do you mean if climate change is a specific subject inside the school, or I mean, climate change is part, of course, of the bigger subject of science. So it is, of course, dealt with during the year. So it's not something new. I mean, every school, every course, every level has this climate change in the curricula and do something specific about it. So it's not something new, of course. So we have it in the curricula. Each school, I think, that have it.
It's a different subject, because I was reading an article about your minister is Fioramonti. Minister of
Sorry? You maybe repeat the question, because I didn't hear you very well.
Yes, I was reading an article about it, that the minister Fioramonti announced it. I don't know if it takes place now.
You mean something new for the next year, for the year coming, for the coming years?
Yes.
Okay, no problem. We'll find out from the questionnaire, from the survey. So when you answer the questionnaire, you may explain what is the situation. Okay, no problem. Thank you. So
maybe you mean that. Sorry, because I can hear you just. What we've done in the past year is each school has put a lot of effort into the 2030 agenda. Okay, so all the many activities have been done in each schools about sustainability, climate change, etc. This is not something new. This is not something new that we have into already inside the curricula, because this agenda has become. Each school has paid a lot of attention to this agenda and have done specific projects about it. Especially, I can talk about the middle school, for example. We also use the agenda for the final exams. So it's very important to talk about climate change in the schools. It's not something that we have from now on. We already have.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. We understand. Okay, thank you very much indeed. So we can move. We can have a short coffee break if you wish. I don't think that we need a break. If somebody wants to get coffee and bring it around at any time. We need, let me try to systematize a little where we are. We have covered the content of 2, but we cannot say that we have finalized it before we know from our colleagues from Crete what actually are the conditions for the transcription of the so-called traditional educational material into innovative one. We may decide here two things. We may decide that the traditional material is, as we have it here, let's say, complete, and see what are the possibilities of our friends from Crete, and what cannot be presented in an innovative way as we understand innovation, will be covered by the 1 to 3 approaches, so that the content is more or less complete. We put emphasis on what can be transcribed, but we don't omit in the traditional material some of the important elements for students. But this is an option. So I put this question to all of you, if this is an approach. There is a risk if we follow it. The risk is that the final has, let's say, 50% or more of the so-called traditional 1 to 3, and there is a very small percentage of real innovation. So this is going to be judged later on as a weakness. The other weakness is that the content is not enough about the issue of climate change. So we are in front of a dilemma here, and we need definitely our colleagues from Crete to clarify as soon as possible the possibilities of what we are discussing. So we can, I'm afraid, I don't know if Professor...
There's a hand.
There is already a hand, yes. Okay.
No, sorry to interrupt you, because I wanted to add something to what I said before regarding the previous the question you asked me, and because I've been checking, and maybe you were referring to what our Minister of Education, Mr. Valditara, said. I have checked in last July, more or less, that sustainability education in the next 3 years should become compulsory into Italian schools. So, as I said before, each school has already these subjects into the curricula, but it's going to become a specific compulsory subject for each grade. So they have just signed a protocol in July, which says they're doing something special in order to let sustainability education become a specific subject, a compulsory specific subject into the Italian schools. So maybe this is the right answer to what you asked.
Exactly, this is the information. Thank you very much.
Okay, sorry.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
So it is an announcement.
Yes.
It is an announcement. It's not a practice. The practice is already there, but not as the compulsory subject. Right.
It's going to become a compulsory subject. According to what he said in July, he already signed a protocol with some specific organizations, and it's going to become, in the next 3 years, it's going to be introduced in each level of schools, and it's going to become at the end of the 3 years. So it's what he said right now, I mean, in the last few months, is going to become a specific compulsory subject.
Thanks a lot. Thank you very much. So, let me ask, is it possible, Maria, to have some indication today where we are all present, or this is going to require more time and it will be communicated via correspondence with our colleagues here?
I think that is Maria, it is in a meeting with the Professor Anastasiadis. Already.
Okay. So let's move then to the next item, and we'll come back to that.